from an industry perspective, I mean, there's no one pulling the trigger over here. It's just us, right? We're on our own label. We're producing our own records. We're financing our own projects. So it wasn't really like a permission thing from an industry perspective. But I think the timing is great just because messages and music matter in this time, right? There's not a lot of tolerance. There won't be a lot of tolerance for things that don't have messages. So I think that that's really important. As far as the creative process, another step that we've been taking is we've been creating a lot of it on the spot. So as far as DITC goes, we've got a lot of friends and connections through our time in hip hop, right? So any city that we go into, we're going to have the privilege of working in some of the best places, just by the relationships that we've maintained over, many, many years. But one of the things about DITC is that what's been created there in the past, and you're trying to, in a very hip hop way, just rise to that level. They have a kind of a mural in the mic booth, and it's a big face of Big L. So you're literally rhyming in front of Big L. He's looking at you. It's like a 6-foot Big L mural face, and you're rhyming, and you can't look without seeing Big L. So it's like, okay, you're almost like imagining this dude is standing behind you while you're delivering your lyrics. Like, right, this is a space that was blessed by him, where some of the records that we, really got in tune to were created, and a lot of those people are behind it. So there's just an expectation in some of these spaces when you go into some of these studios that, hey, we're going to make something as great as the records that were created there. But I want to be careful about that, because that space that you see Akil in is the place where a lot of the creativity happens as well. And we could do a lot in that space as well. So there is enough from a technology perspective that I don't want anyone who's young or trying to get into the game or may not be as financially secure to feel like, unless they're in the Bronx and DITC, or they're in the middle of Hollywood at Paramount, that they can't make a great record, because that's not true. And I feel like we would have still found a way to make this work. That's what hip hop is, right? Finding a way to make it work. And we have the pleasure and luxury of recording some great records in some great studios right now, working with some Grammy Award-winning engineers and things of that nature. But that stuff is less important to me than just having the right vibe with the people that you're creating with, and do the best you can with the equipment that you have. Some of our favorite records are not the most sonically pleasing. It's something else that's going on, and it's not because they were in $1 million studio.
Bro, I understood every drop, because first of all, one thing I learned, I met LL Cool J once, and he told me to be the greatest artist, you have to be the greatest fan. So Masai and I are documentary nerds, always have been. We love to study, we love to research. Knowledge is definitely power in grown folks. So we knew all these cats and all these spaces way before we ever stepped foot in there, or way before we ever had a conversation. Man, to work with some of these cats, man, it's just like, okay, I was right. It's almost like reaffirmation for years of, working with like underground cats that no one has ever heard of, and then you say X, Y, and Z, and they're like, oh, that'll never work. That's not how you do it. And then you go sit around some people that got like 20 Grammys under their belt, and they be like, this is the way you do it. And you be like, oh, that is the way. I was right 15 years ago. So, and one thing Masai said that resonates a lot with me is it's not about being in $1 million studio, even though it is really nice, really, really nice. But it's about making do with what you got, man. If you have a 4-track, master the 4-track. If you have Windows XP, master Windows XP. It ain't always got to be about Apple and Native Instruments and all this crap. Like, pull out a record and make a sample on a Casio SK5. Dude, I'm an artist. I don't retire. I don't quit. I don't give up. You throw me 2 sticks in a room, and I'm going to get you something dope out of that. Because that's what this is about. It's about survival of the fittest, making the best out of whatever it is around you work for you. That's what the essence of hip hop always been. So we use that as like the foundation of Grxwn Fxlks. We're going to make it work.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that can be a limitation for people, and we just kind of came into this project without limitations. So the best hip hop, I mean, yes, you're gonna want to go work with the people that Pharrell worked with, or Dr. Dre works with, or any of those people work with if you have access to it. And our just time in the industry and making records and being at a point where we're financially secure has allowed us access to some of those people. For instance, Mike Bosey. I mean, Mike Bosey is mastered the last two, Grammy Award winning records and albums. He mastered Tyler, the Creator's album. He mastered Anderson .Paak's album. He mastered Kendrick Lamar's album. He mastered Black Panther soundtrack. Those are just some of the bigger records that he did. But this guy, when we go in there, he treats our record like a Kendrick Lamar record. So we're getting the same amount of time, right? We're getting the same amount of effort. We're getting the same amount of conversation. There's a lot of schooling happening on both sides. So just to be in that echelon of people that are making records and know that they're very attracted to the music that we're making, that is very different from the records that I just mentioned, but they also want to get involved with this. We feel like we're building a really strong team that's helping us take this sound over the top. So we're really excited and feel privileged to be working with those cats as well.
Absolutely.